I've always been a huge fan of partnerships. Two things that I care deeply about. One is blue ocean strategy. I love going into markets where nobody else is, but where there's a huge need. And the second is partners. I've always fundamentally believed that you alone can only do so much. The value of exponential growth through partnership is, to me, the golden ticket. It's the ubiquitous key that allows us to unlock doors that we would never ordinarily have access to. And so in every company that I built, and this is my third or fourth company now, the only similarity between them, other than that they are all technology based, is that we built them on partnerships. So for me, partners from day one is critical.
So how did you do that? How do you go about building those partnerships? In practice, it makes sense. It sounds simple. Is it really as easy as it sounds?
No, it's terrifically hard. It's terrifically hard, and I think respectfully, most people do it the wrong way. And the wrong way of building a partnership, I'll start with, is to show up at the door and say, "Hey, I'm Simon. I've got the best technology in the world. It's so important and great. You need to see it." Every ear in the building, just got covered up, and every eye just went blind. Nobody cares whatsoever. The best way to start a partnership is to purely think about the person that you're talking to. You do not matter. Your technology, no matter how brilliant it is, how great it is, how long and hard you worked on it, it's completely irrelevant to these people. They don't care about you at all. What you have to do in that first meeting is figure out really, really intuitively, and hopefully you've done your homework so that you can go into the meeting and you can talk about what matters to them. And it's only if you can talk about what matters to them that you can be successful. And I'll give you, if you like, I can give you two real life examples.
Yeah, please.
Yep. So all right. So example one, in my second company, I told you we built monitoring software that connected Citrix and Microsoft. And I remember, going into the Citrix office for the first time. I was, relatively young at the time, and it was their office. Luckily, was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, so at least it was warm out. And if they kicked me out to the curb, at least I could go, look at the ocean or something, have a shrimp cocktail. And I went over there to the Citrix, main headquarters, and I asked to speak to the director of alliances. And the director of alliances, shockingly, was unavailable to a random guy who showed up on the strip off the street. And a wonderful lady who ultimately became the VP of alliances, but at this time was not, showed up at the door. And she said, "Hi, my name's so-and-so." And well, actually, I'll tell you her name because she's so wonderful. Her name is Vicky Pomerico. She worked at Citrix for years, probably one of the best alliances people in the business. And I remember Vicky, I walked in and she had no idea who I was or what we did. But I said to her, "I think that I know your Microsoft relationship is important to you. And all we do is we build a little bridge between Citrix and Microsoft so that Microsoft users can understand what their Citrix environment looks like." And it wasn't about my technology. It wasn't about how great our monitoring was and how effective it was and how it was better than everybody else's. It was just, you care about your relationship with Microsoft, and I think this will help make that relationship even better. And, thanks to that, wonderful lady and that initial conversation and all the work after it, we went from 0 to 2,000 customers and were ultimately acquired by Citrix. My second example, which is not so dissimilar, a little wilder maybe, is with Nutanix. Nutanix, you have to understand, 5-6 years ago was probably, and maybe it's even beyond 5 or 6 years, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it was really the darling of Silicon Valley. I mean, you talk about rock stars. I mean, Dheeraj Pandey and Sunil Pati. I mean, these guys had built something. They'd invented the category of hyper-converged infrastructure. And I wanted to be the backup product for them. HYCU originally, I told you all of our ideas about simplicity and everything else, and ease of use and multi-cloud. But we also wanted to build a partnership with Nutanix because they were HCI. And we thought if we can include them in what we're backing up and recovering, we'll be able to piggyback on their customer base and grow with them. and nobody else was protecting that data. And so I thought, okay, that's a blue ocean strategy with a hot, cool company. I need to go over there and convince those guys to care about us. But I'd never been in the data protection space. Nobody knew who we were or what we were doing. There was no credibility whatsoever. And I remember I thought, okay, I've got to be very memorable. And I went out and I got this white jacket, this very, very bright white jacket. And I put a red carnation in there. And I drove up to Nutanix headquarters and I walked in full of bravado and I said, I need to speak to the CEO. And they brought out this guy, Tommy Gustavsson, who had just joined the company that week. And, to this day, we laugh about this story. We sat down at this table, and instead of saying, oh, but I wanted to meet with the CEO because I'm important, right? I immediately thought, of course, they're not going to introduce me to the CEO. They have no idea who I am. Thank God they gave me a meeting. I'm excited about this. And I remember sitting with Tommy for 2 hours and showing him videos and pictures of everything that, I could think of that would get him excited about what we were doing. And then ultimately, it wasn't really going anywhere. Great guy, and he was terrific, but I didn't have it together. I could see I wasn't selling him. And then I said, I had done my homework, and I knew there were 4 or 5 areas where I thought we could be really helpful. And I said, look, I'm going to get out of your hair. I'm going to leave. Would you mind checking with somebody in product if a company for no charge built one of these 4 things, which of these would be most important to Nutanix? And he literally picked up this I'd scratched out the 4 things on a piece of paper. He took it back, talked to someone. And the next thing I know, we're sitting with a product person. And the next thing I know, there's somebody else coming in the room. And by the end of the conversation, we had 6 or 7 people. And I think Sunil Patti, the CTO, just as a joke almost, walked in just to see what was going on. And we had this wonderful conversation. And it ended with me saying, again, full of bravado, okay, nobody's built you end-to-end data protection. You don't know who I am. I'm not going to ask you for anything. But if I come in here a year from now and I have application-aware data protection for Nutanix, and I can do it within 1 year, do you promise me a meeting with all of you to discuss it? And we came in a year minus a week later. I walked in the office with my CTO, the same guy I'd met earlier in Vegas, and we showcased that product. And today we've got thousands of new customers who are backing up Nutanix on HYCU. And it was all because we chose to go in with a partner-first mentality and look for ways we could solve their problems, not show off about our technology.
I don't know. I think maybe it was the white suit that did it.